And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. It's Lakers weekend, everyone. Lakerholics Spotlight. Waiting for the Lakerholics, but I wanted to get on the air because I know people are waiting already. So I wanted to get on the air to talk to you. It's Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. You know, my other shows are also available wherever you get your podcasts, and that includes the Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. And on this latest episode, Melinda and I talk about the mess at Marvel, what's going on with the new monster show at Apple TV Plus, and also as well, we're talking with TJ Johnson about Spider-Man 2. So go ahead and check it out. Plus, this Monday show is going to be a good one as Josh and I, it's one of our favorite shows of the year. It's the Black Friday episode, everyone. We talk the latest great deals for geek culture out there, consumer technology. We get all into the nitty-gritty on what we think are the best deals coming up this week, this next week right here on Pop Culture Cosmos. So go ahead and check it out on Monday as well. Plus, also Inside Sports Fantasy Football. The guys stopped by that they did. That would be Joe Soro and Sean Grice. They stopped by the latest Inside Sports Fantasy Football, covering for my good friend Chris Ardieri, who is out getting better, getting on the mend. So they stepped in. NFL Week 11 and a redemption story for Dak Prescott was covered. So please go ahead and check out Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Joe Soro, he's Ox 1947. He probably said he's going to be in and out this weekend at best. So he may be more in the chat for all of our shows this weekend. Just want to let everybody know because he's got a very busy weekend. You can still find him though as Ox1947 at Lakerholics.com, LakersBall.com. Thank you, cool bro. I appreciate it. Got this about a year ago from GameSpot. So they might still have it available. Just to let you know if you're interested. It's a long sleeve. Just to let you know. But Blue Magic's asking if, cool bro, you started your book channels as of yet. But it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. Thanks so much for joining us on today's show. We're going to be talking about Austin Reaves. He has not had the start of the season that he was hoping for, coming off the momentum from FIBA. But when it comes right down to it, we saw the signs already that maybe the hype, we shouldn't get it build into the hype too much. So I will say that, yeah, absolutely. There's a new one, Tom. There's a new one. There's a new one that I sent. So Tom's trying to get in now. There he is. There he is. Yep, I told you it was a new one sent. I sent the wrong one. So that's the
Okay.
new one out right after it. I was like, oops, made my mistake there. But go ahead and check out what they're doing today at Lakerholics.com. It is Laker Tom, the number one Lakers blogger that's out there. Also, as well, go ahead and give a big shout out to Empire Jeff TV. And of course, also as well, you want to go ahead and give a big shout out to the John McCalian channel, our good friends at Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, and of course, also as well, Lakers in 5. Great to have everyone here. It is the Lakerholic Spotlight, and the Lakerholic Spotlight is on Austin Reaves. His performance in FIBA got everybody built into the hype. Laker fans were really getting into the hype of Austin Reaves, but so far this season, after seeing some of the signs in FIBA that we called out on the show, we started to see some things in a not great direction for Austin Reaves. He was sent to the bench, now coming off the bench, and we still see some troubling things in his game. So what is his future with the Los Angeles Lakers? We'll talk about that. Plus, yes, Darren, Laker Tom will probably have some interesting trade scenarios because the talk and the chatter about the Lakers and the Bulls has gone to a not a meteoric level, but it's getting warm. It's getting warm. But with the rumors about Caruso and Levine and DeRozan heading somewhere else, we'll talk about that on the show as well. But great to have everyone here. It is Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching, listening. But please check out Lakerholics.com. You can do yourself some justice as a Lakers fan to go ahead and check out Lakerholics.com. There's always great articles with Jamie Sweet's 5 Things and of course Laker Tom's articles as well. But let's get into it right now with Austin Reaves before we get into all the funky trade scenarios that Darren wants us to talk about. Oh, Helen, it says, "Oh no, another instrument." Uh, He's a musician, Alan. What can you say? Musicians play music. There you go. What is a Lakerholic? Well, that's when you have so much Lakers in your blood and so much Lakers in far as your fandom, you just can't get enough of Lakerholics, and you admit you have a problem indeed. But Laker Tom, I want to get into Austin Reaves now. I had mentioned shortly after the FIBA series where he was actually at the very end really singled out on the defensive end that Laker fans need to be warned. They need to be warned about possible issues with the defense and not buy too much into the hype. And I was repeatedly called out, "Oh no, Gerald, it's okay. It's fine. He's going to be fine. He's going to be absolutely fine." Well, this season has come around, and while his shooting has not been there 100% as of yet, his defense has been singled out on many occasions, which has caused Darvin Ham to go ahead and put him as a guy coming off the bench. He's changed up the starting lineup, the D'Angelo, Austin Reaves, just as a defensive just issues, just could not be able to be, they could not start those two anymore, just the way those two could play defense. So Austin Reaves, the world's best NBA contract, the hype into he's going to be the next big thing, it's not there anymore. So what's there left over for Austin Reaves? Now that we have probably more realistic opinions on Austin Reaves, what is his future going forward, Laker Tom?
I actually don't think his future's really changed that much.
No.
First off, you just have to recognize that Austin is in a situation right now where he's probably tired. He's probably worn out from all of the games that he's played in the summer. And he's probably, there's this element that as I find interesting. I'm a 49ers fan, so I've got two, what you would call for their sport, small white quarterbacks, so to speak, in Austin Reaves and Brock Purdy, who both have a huge crowd that's waiting for them to fail, partly simply because they've been hyped up so much and because they're white. I think, first off,
I like that. And because they're white, you just threw it.
Well, there's an element of truth
in
it.
It is a great white hope issue. Yes, I know.
There's an element of truth in it that you can look at. You can look at the Lakers' backcourt, and we've got two guys who are basically unathletic players, two guys who play like white guys, if you will. And that really becomes a shortcoming defensively because you don't have guys quick enough to stay in front of guys. And so
you're saying white guys can't guard?
Them. Pardon?
Are you saying white guys can't guard? Then what does Alex Caruso do?
No, I'm not saying that. That's a stereotype, and it has elements of truth, if you take it on a giant population, but there are always exceptions, everybody knows that. Okay. And, the thing with Reaves is that he got overhyped. Then he ran into everybody adjusting to his game. He being a prioritized, people were game planning for him and taking advantage of him. And that's to be expected, when you make a leap like he made. I think that what's really fascinating about this is I'm in the middle of an article that basically says that Darvin Ham made a masterful move by moving Reaves to the bench and by promoting Reddish. We've gone 4-5 since then, but it's not just the 4 wins and 1 loss. It's the flip around that it's done with everything and the stats of the team, the plus minuses, where their defense and offense lands and everything. It's been a dramatic change, and it was a surprise move that I didn't expect. I expected, like everybody else, that Reaves would stay in the starting lineup since he's the guy with the contract and the big rep, and so forth. And that Russell, who's, probably the primary trade target if we end up making a trade, would be the guy to go to the bench. For a lot of good reasons, I have to admit, that I agree with in retrospect, I think that Darwin made an inspired decision. Reeves basically looks like a good candidate for sixth man of the year. And you can't argue with the fact that Reddish has the second best plus minus since he's been in the starting lineup. He's really done a terrific job. He's the fourth highest scorer. He's leads in steals. He's second in plus minus. And he's making great plays defensively. He's really showing his moxie there. He's hitting his shots. He's hitting 36% from three. So you can't argue with those two decisions. The thing everybody has to look at is, getting back to your question, Austin Reaves is not designated as a reserve for the rest of the year. There's a very good possibility that he could be, if we make a trade, that he could very well end up being a starting point guard again. I happen to agree with you that I think he's better. I think his best role probably for any team, for any championship team, is probably as a six-man candidate. You know, he can. The bench has been much better with him in charge. You know, there's no doubt about it. He seems more comfortable. There's a little less pressure on him. He's playing against the second team, not the first team. So he's got, he's going to be a little better offensively and so forth. So, I don't take it as a huge disappointment. I think that this adjustment to Reeves' role is part of finding out what this team is made of and who's going to play which roles and how it's all going to fit together to be a successful championship season, hopefully. And I still think we have a chance for that. I still think we may have to have a trade, but I like what Darvin's Hams has done in the last 4 or 5 games. I like what I've seen. All of a sudden, you've got a lineup that, instead of having just 2 or 3 people who had a plus minus or a positive net rating, for the last 5 games, we've got like 11 or 12 people that do. And we've got a couple of guys injured that still aren't in there. And over the next, we're 7-6, 13 games in. We have 7 games left in the month of November. That'll hit us to 20 games, which is the quarter bowl. I think we got a good shot to win 5 of those next 7 games. If we can do that, we will end up being 12-6. And I think that would be, a good situation for us. We would, 12-8 rather. We would be in the top 6 teams at that point in time, hopefully getting back our other 2 players and be maybe a couple of weeks away from making a trade. So I like where we are with Reeves. I think it's just a realistic reassessment. I think that everybody knew that he couldn't continue to play at that same level. And just like we knew that Rui can't shoot threes the way that he did in the playoffs in that one series, and so forth. So, and hopefully we found out maybe that D'Angelo Russell can, do better than he did in those 4 games against the Nuggets, if he has another chance to do it. So I like where Reeves is now. I think that this has helped him. And I thought that the move that Ham made was great for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is that it's another step in the Lakers going big, which is really where the strength of this team is and where their defense really is best.
Once again, it is the Lakerholics Spotlight. It is Laker Tom, the #1 Lakers blogger that's out there. Please go ahead and check out his work today at Lakerholics.com, where you can also check out 5 things from the man I'm talking to right now. It is Admiral Akbar himself, Jamie Sweet. He did lay a trap that the Lakers did not follow. They just followed it the next night. But we won't go there on that one.
I know.
Jamie, great to have you here, my friend. You laid out the trap on the wrong day. But when it comes to the Lakers, Austin Reaves, before we really get into the team itself and what's going on, Austin Reaves, the adjustment that had to be made, the fact that one of the 2, D'Angelo or him, had to start coming off the bench, and they felt Austin Reaves was the one to go. Is this going to be a career-defining moment where maybe you say, you know what, maybe his career going forward is it going to be a better as a positional role player coming off the bench or as a 6th man rather than being the potential all-star and superstar so many had him pegged for this offseason?
I mean, I for no seconds at all ever believed he was going to become a superstar. He just doesn't have the physical The John Stocktons of yesteryear don't become all-stars and superstars in the modern NBA. It's too fast. It's too physical. He doesn't have excellent foot speed. He doesn't have excellent hops. He's good across the board. He's across the board good. Good shooting, good smarts, good defense. Not great, good. Good. He gets the good. He's like, if this were the Three Little Bears, he'd be just right every time, right? Just right. And that's fine. That's fine. And as far as the whole six-man thing goes, I can list 5 legendary six-men right off the top of my head. Michael Cooper, legendary six-man. Jamal Crawford, legendary six-man. Lou Williams, legendary six-man. Manu Ginobili, legendary six-man. The list goes on, right? We don't have to beat the horse. It's okay to be a six-man in the NBA. Lamar Odom was a super effective six-man. Maybe not legendary because he only was in that role for a short time, but compared to guys like Sweet Lou and potentially, Austin Reaves. Caruso, currently a six-man. Everybody's like, Caruso this, Caruso that. Comes off the bench for the Bulls. So there's no shame in that game. Somebody has to come off the bench. You can only start 5 guys. You're going to play between 8 and 10. That means half of your estimated lineup is coming off the bench. Okay? So that's fine. It's fine that he's coming off the bench. It actually adds playmaking to the second unit, which lacked it since Gabe Vincent's been out with no seemingly timeline for a return that I've seen. There's no
Kendrick Nunn. It's Kendrick Nunn again.
I don't think it's that bad. I think that
I don't know.
But
when they give you answers in only 2-week segments.
Yeah, that's the problem. And that was the same with Vando, and now they're ramping him up. So I think that they have done a good job with they've done a better job this year with the injury prognostications, and they've changed the wordage around it. Now it's progression to play, right? There's a play that they have to go through. Whatever that means.
So we don't expect them to show up tomorrow,
Exactly. But it's wise, right? It doesn't put pressure on the player, doesn't put pressure on the coach, doesn't put pressure on anybody.
How can we have so many injuries? It almost makes you want to look at our medical crew,
Part of it I think is being, they had said earlier in training camp, like if this was the playoffs, Vando would play. And I'll bet this is true of a couple of the guys. If it were the playoffs, if they had,
I think there's a real issue with Gabe's though. Gabe's, I think, is something
he's not a young guy. He's not an athletic guy. And so this could end up being a problem, which is why they had to move Reeves to the second unit, right? You have to have some kind of playmaker in the second unit. And it wasn't Cam Reddish. It wasn't Rui Hachimura. It wasn't Christian Wood. It wasn't Jack.
Probably shouldn't have been D'Angelo because he's only started in his career.
You can't do that.
I think his near future, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I've said it before. His near future could be coming off the bench for a team.
But you can't.
I didn't say the Lakers. I just said for a team.
You can't do it to him after you just signed him to that extension. You can't do it to him when he holds the player option, and you maybe kind of hope he does accept that role.
And he's playing better than Reeves.
You can't do that.
Right now he is, yes.
You can't do it for a fit standpoint because let's be honest, D'Angelo fits better with the starting 5 to start the game off than Reeves does. And the other thing you might notice is that more often than not, Reeves is closing the games. If I'm an NBA player, yes, I would love to start, but I really want to close because that's where legends are made. That's where money's made. Nobody signs a first quarter star to a big contract. They sign you for your clutch shots, your game-winning shots, your game-winning defense, your game-winning plays. So if you're not closing the game, you can't have those. If you're not playing in the fourth quarter, you can't have those. And there's been fourth quarters where D'Lo didn't play. And to D'Lo's credit, all he does is he turns into his version of ML Carr. He's got that towel going. He's got that clap going. He's pumping dudes up.
He's been a great influence. He's been a great positive influence on the team.
He knows if he's part of a winning culture, it's going to help repair his identity problem, right? His identity problem is as much an issue as his lack of defense in the league. And some people can say like, oh, the Nick Young thing's way in the past. It's not just the Nick Young thing. It's that every team he's been on, he's not a winner, right? He's not the guy that pushes the team to that next level. He
was a big part of the Nets' rise.
yeah. No, he wasn't.
That was where I think he really rehabilitated his image to a great extent.
He showed that he could score a lot of points. That's different. They didn't.
Yeah, but I've listened to him talk. I've listened to him make comments about his immaturity when he first was with the Lakers and so forth.
Sure.
And I think that he's grown a lot in that way, and you've seen a lot of players who really like having him as a teammate.
I agree, but I don't think people consider him to be a winner. The same way they didn't consider Christian Wood to be a winner, same way they didn't consider Cam Reddish to be a winner. If you've got talent, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and a lot of it, and I still think a lot of it, and I think that D'Angelo is proving it, and Christian Wood is proving it, and Hayes is
only had a
proving
small
it.
sample size.
They're all proving basically that a lot of it has the environment that you're put up in.
Yeah.
What kind of team are you on? Who is the coach? What are the types of players that you're surrounding you with? And what are the expectations that you're put in that situation?
I think only one side of the coin. The other side is your mentality.
Yep.
You could put Kobe Bryant on the Charlotte Hornets, and the Charlotte Hornets make the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, but it's also the age of the kids that are coming in, man. I mean,
your mentality. I don't care what your age is. You can have the right mentality, or you can have the wrong mentality as an 18-year-old.
Yeah, but
25-year-old as a 30.
You're going into the NBA as an 18-year-old kid.
I'm just saying there's a difference between coming into a situation and having the right attitude, or coming into a situation and having the wrong.
Of course, there is. Yeah, Wembanyama is a perfect example of somebody who's incredibly mature.
Right. Didn't come into San Antonio saying, "I am your savior. We shall now make the playoffs."
He came in saying, "I'm not going to play center.
I'm not going to." Right. Well, that's smart for him. He's just taking care of his willowy body. That's just wisdom. That's knowing your limitations. AD should be in the same situation, but
AD has made the same claim, except he's also understands that he's going to play some center just because of our need.
I mean, he's playing center. It's not some center.
He's playing. No, but the five out still, he's choosing what shots he wants to take. And he's still holding up the defensive end.
But to circle it back to Reeves, I'm not worried about Austin. He's had really positive impact off the bench. He's never going to be – he's just not a 25, 30-point per game scorer. He's just not. He doesn't have that kind of aggressive mentality.
He could be, but he ain't going to get those shots.
He'll have defense like a Dame Lillard can. He can't get to the hole like a Russell Westbrook can. He just doesn't have the speed or the hops or the handle. He doesn't have any of those things.
Nope.
He can't – He is incapable. That's the Lakers' biggest number one problem right now. The only guy who can get to the rim and collapse the defense is 39, coming up on 39-year-old LeBron James. That's it. The list ends there.
Well, you know what, Jamie? I will say consistently yes, but Cam Reddish has shown that
I was going to say the same thing, Sean. Good point.
He's willing to exploit opportunities. I agree with you, Jamie. Not at the level LeBron can, but Reddish is good at reading when his opportunity.
Rui's been playing really well and hitting and attacking.
And I will say this, Gerald, before we get into a tad of hot water.
Uh-oh.
By the way, Magic Man Sean Grice is joining us. Go ahead, my friend.
Yes. So, I don't want to get the LFB in hot water, but considering the discussion about the injuries.
Remember, Joe's here almost every day, and he's now.
The Vincent thing is really interesting. I remember a coworker of mine needed his knee drained, and it took 5 weeks before he was able to fully come back to work, Gerald. So I haven't heard the Lakers say that Vincent has had to have his knee drained, but the fact that he's out 2 weeks and now he's being reevaluated for another 2 weeks makes me think that there's something there. And quite frankly, everybody's instincts, I think, are right. And I feel the same way. This Vincent thing might be a problem because when you have to drain something, that fluid has to eventually go back somewhere. And it also makes you think that if it's not if he hasn't suffered like any serious injury, Gerald, you worry about then arthritis and like structure of ligaments at that point because things are breaking down if fluid is building up. And as for Vando, I mean, I look at it as it's a win-lose situation for us as fans. Yeah, we lose because he's not being uh able to be evaluated on the court and how successful or efficient the Lakers will be at saying that, Gerald, that heel. I mean, everybody knows that there is very little blood supply below the ankle. So, I mean, it takes a while sometimes for those lower injuries to heal in the foot, ankles. It just there's not a lot of room for air either. You have to kind of let it settle. So I'd be more concerned about the Vincent situation here.
Vincent could very well, Vincent and JHS both could very well get traded before they play.
It's possible.
They only got a month to go, and both of them are eligible to be traded, and they're both at least 2 to 4 weeks away from playing.
We'll see what happens indeed. But once again, it is the Lakerholic Spotlight. Magic Man, I'll have you finish off the conversation on Austin Reaves here. What do you think, before we get into other stuff, including Rui Hashimura, what are your thoughts, though, on this when it comes to Austin Reaves, his future going forward? He is no longer should be, in my opinion, the untouchable piece of the Lakers' entire collection there for you.
Yes, I tend to agree with you there, Gerald. But then again, nobody should feel safe. If I've and speaking of Austin Reaves, I have a feeling if there wasn't so much of a comfort level about guys, where they sit in the lineups or where they sit in the rotations rather than their bank account, Gerald. I mean, all that comes into play when we're analyzing this. He's better off the bench. That's clear and as day. I'll Kobe. Kobe Bryant once was asked a question about what made you so effective against your opponents one-on-one, and he said, I just had a counter move. Every move that I was able to combat, I countered. So Austin hasn't really learned those counters yet, Gerald. He either tries to dribble himself out of trouble that he's already in and dribbles himself into more, as we've seen time and time again, or he, as Gerald has said before, he just doesn't have the lateral foot speed to get around faster, more athletic players. So he requires more help to get open shots or where he likes to shoot.
Can't keep backing up the way he is,
and Gerald, he's searching the nest for easy fouls instead of just trying to put his head down and go to the rim. He's trying to look for those easy eggs, and they're not coming because the refs aren't gonna give it to him. They see what guys are trying to do, and they either reward you or they'll say nope. And I think that's what's happening with Reaves in particular, is that he got a lot of those calls last year, Gerald, because he just put his head down and went to the rim, throwing caution to the wind. Now he's trying to be very, very specific, very delicate, and I think the refs pick up on when you're trying to fabricate calls.
Plus, he also needs to be more careful with the ball. I think Alan said it as well. His dribbling is loose. I agree. He's had it picked from him quite a bit this season from right there, just trying to bring it over half court, and just the people are just like,
Dennis's problem with turnovers wasn't his dribble. It was that Dennis put his head down and lost his hand-eye
watching the whole court.
Yeah. Austin has a different problem. That's true. His dribble is very loosey-goosey. Right. Absolutely.
Once again, it is the Lakerholic Spotlight. It is, of course, Lakerholics.com. Go ahead and check out all the great fun that they have each and every day at Jamie's Suite, a.k.a. Admiral Akbar. The Mr. 5 Things articles right there, and Laker Tom, the #1 Lakers blogger that's out there. Please go ahead and check it out today, Lakerholics.com. All right. So I wanted to touch on something else as far as the rest of the team. 7-6 tomorrow, home game against the Rockets, who've been playing very well despite the James Harden heroics the other night. They have been playing well for the most part. But Darren's put something that I actually put out there quite a bit the past couple of days, and that is Rui Hashimura. Rui Hashimura has, before the season started, I said, you know what? Is he the 30% 3-point shooter that he has been, or is he the 50% shooter that he was in the playoffs? Or if he could even be something else in between, I think we would all be happy. Well, so far this season, coming back for the concussion protocol, he's shot very well. The problem is, Laker Tom, as you do the Laker Tom lean in, he is not shooting at all. He's only getting 5 shots a game the past 2-3 games.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been very troubling to see how it's not like he's only playing 5 minutes, Laker Tom. He's playing 20 plus minutes a game, sometimes 25, 26 minutes a game. That's very troubling for if your best shooter cannot get the ball in the right spots and only can get it 5 opportunities a game. Your thoughts on how to get Rui Hashimura more involved in the offense, which I think will make things right now, since he's shooting so well, things a lot better for the Lakers in their offense.
Well, I think part of the problem is that the Lakers still have, even with the 2 people out, the 2 guys injured, they still have a deep rotation. And what happens is that Darvin hasn't figured out exactly where everybody's spot is in that rotation. And the result is that guys are coming in at different times. And so we're seeing inconsistency. You see Rui come in and have a great game. Then you see Wood come in and have a great game. But Rui doesn't do anything. And a lot of it, I think, is just because we haven't filled everybody's roles at this point in time. We don't know exactly what the rotations are. You immediately see that when you go to try to study the lineups and look at the 5-man lineups that are being used. Like I'm always trying to see exactly how we're doing with the 2 big lineups versus the other lineups. And it's really messy because there are so many different combinations of lineups for 3 or 4 minutes or 1 or 2 games of the last 5 that it's really hard to sort through all of this stuff. And as an analyst, you're facing the exact same problem the player is when he's sitting on the bench. What am I going to do? I'm going to go in. When am I going to go in? Who am I going to go in with? What's my role going to be when I go in? What position am I going to play? We've got a whole lineup of guys who can play 2 or 3 positions. So it's going to take longer simply because we had 5 or 6 new guys. It's going to take longer for him to get those rotations down. And we spent the first 8 games, without Reddish starting. Since Reddish started, everything's turned around numbers wise, and we're, other than laying that 1 game when AD had a bad game, we've really done well. And the next 7 games that we have the rest of November to get us to 20 games, those are all games that we've got a good chance to win. We do have to play the 76ers once, and we have to play Dallas. So those are the 2 tougher games in there. But we have a good chance to end up with a 12-8 record for the first 20 games, a quarter of the way through, and be in the top 6. So I think we'll be fine. And then you get into the question of right now we're ranked as the 5th best team. There are 4 teams that have better odds, and I pretty well agree that those 4 teams, probably Milwaukee and Boston in the East, and I think in the West, obviously Denver and probably Phoenix those are the 4 teams that are ranked above us, and right on our tails, number 6 is Golden State, and so I think we're going to have to do something. I know that Gerald's got probably tied up the next discussion being about trades and so forth.
That has been requested by our audience.
I don't see, and listen, I always get angry at people who get so upset with the fact that we would consider a trade when it's not even available at this point in time. That's so stupid because simply what happens is the games happen. You find out who's playing well and who you're seeing as a long-term member of the team. And you're also seeing guys that don't play well and needs that the team has. And you definitely want to look around and see what opportunities there are to improve the team. We'll make some moves at the trade deadline. I don't have a doubt. I don't think we need to make a move like trading for a superstar making $40 million a year. I think that would be a mistake. But
that doesn't stop you on Laker Tom.
No, that's true. Listen, if I could I'd probably take Zach LaVine if I could get Alex Caruso too. And I didn't have to give up if I didn't have to give up more than, let's say, just the 29 pick and the 27 first and fourth 1 through 4 pick, which we have a right to trade also. I might do that, but I'd much rather see us go out and get Miles Turner. I'd much rather see us go out and, there's 4 or 5 other people that I think would, that I would like to get. I'd like to get Alex Caruso. I'd love to have the ability.
Indiana's a successful team right
now.
now.
Yeah, but I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give
offense.
1 first-round pick for Alex Caruso, and I'm sure now I'm not going to give him 2 first-round picks.
Well, that's what
the
rate is right now, according to Reddit and the rumors.
That's not going to happen. He is not Drew Holiday. Believe me.
Once again, go ahead, Magic Man. I got you unplugged right now. Go for it.
Tom, what would you offer a team? What would you think you'd have to offer a team for an all NBA defensive player? What would your red line be?
Depends on the player.
Well, let's talk about Alex Caruso. Would you, if you're not going to give up 2 picks, are you going to give up an unprotected pick and your second best young prospect?
For Alex Caruso, I'd love to trade Gabe Vincent for him. The money works perfectly. So you trade Gabe Vincent for him and you give him 3 seconds.
I think
throw in Max Christie in 3 seconds.
Yeah, you know what?
So if you're the other team, you're getting an injured guy stuck for 3 years.
Tom, let me ask you a question. So Milwaukee was willing to give up all that for Dame, right? And then
they're going to be sorry, I think.
Yeah. That being said, look at what Drew Holiday fetched the Pelicans when he was in his prime as an All-NBA defender. I mean, that's likely what the Bulls want. I mean, he's improved as a 3-point shooter. There's no denying that, Tom. And he can play with any
this defense
with any combo guard you got, he can play with them. He fits like a glove with everybody from
the Celtics made the
Derek
best
White,
Drew
Drew Holiday, Tyrese Maxey, D'Angelo Russell. You could if the Mavs really thought they were going for it, Tom, it wouldn't shock me. Those are the 2 teams I'm scared of acquiring Alex Caruso. Are the Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks, because I think they would both pay the price.
I think
Jamie, go ahead, my friend. I'll get you in here.
So it's him and Tom Thibodeau are on a collision course of destiny.
Who and Tom Thibodeau?
Caruso and Tom.
Oh, you think the Knicks are going to get Caruso, Jamie?
They have young players that a rebuilding team would at least be interested in. Nobody's interested in Jalen Hood-Schifino. Nobody's interested in Max Christie. Nobody's interested in these guys.
Well, there's some interest in Christie. He's an 18-year-old kid who's got talent.
Let's say a smidge.
It's not going to be a piece. It's a sweetener in a deal. It's never going to be a piece.
If your starting point for any deal is broken down Gabe Vincent, I mean, basically you're hoping for.
No, you're selling it. It's the picks.
But
there's nothing to fill. It's not salary filler. You're just playing for the picks.
3 second-round picks is a pick.
Three second-rounders are probably worth a first-rounder.
No.
All right, so I'm going to go into what Adam's saying right now, because we can always come back to the trade scenarios. And again, I'm not in love with getting a 29-year-old bordering on 30, poor need. individual who will owe several more years to at $40+ million and bringing
Are
him
you
along
speaking of Zach Levine?
just to get Alex Caruso back in here,
Uh,
because that's probably the package deal that we'd have to go through. But I want to touch on something, Adam, is because he's begging for this, because his blind, I don't want to say hatred, because I've said that before earlier this week, Adam, and I don't want to say you hate the guy, but your blind dislike, it's just blinding him, this dislike on Torian Prince in the starting lineup, or as a contributor at all to the team, has been underwhelming. Mr. 40% has not shot 40%. And it's not giving you the defense stopper ability on either end. I do not know why he's still in the lineup. I honestly don't. With the way Rui Hashimura has been playing, I do admit he's better off the bench, but Rui has been shooting well enough at this point in time. If he's not getting enough opportunities off the bench, as far as people say play more minutes, well, he played 28 minutes the other night and still only found 5 shots in the offense. You need to start Rui at this point in time over Torian Prince. I think that's something where it's going to benefit both sides of the equation on this. I think it's something that we need to evaluate. I'll start with you, back to you, Jamie, because I know you were just got a couple of words in last time. Let's hear your thoughts on the moving Torian Prince out of the starting lineup. And obviously, Adam, will that help? I hope you're not getting gray hairs over the fact that Torian Prince is still in the starting lineup. So hopefully we can go ahead and
still be in the lineup for the next game too.
Yeah, that's the frustrating thing.
All right, I'm all for moving him out. I think that what's going to happen is that this is what I think this happened. I think that Darvin Ham really wants to set the bench up for success. So he's going to keep Reeves coming off the bench. He's going to keep Hachimura coming off the bench. He's going to keep Wood in the second unit, and Hayes will get spot playing time based on foul trouble and situational matchups and yada 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 yada. Who's going to supplant Torian Prince from the starting 5? There's only one guy. His name is Jared Vanderbilt. And then Torian Prince's minutes may actually just kind of vanish, much like Lonnie Walker.
He'll be the 11th man. He'll be the 11th man and will slide out of the rotation.
Did last season. So once Lonnie Walker 2.0, a.k.a. Torian Prince, hits the bench, then you're going to see Vando in the starting 5. He's going to be playing those 20, 25 minutes a game. And we're going to see how that works for 15, 20 games. At which point, based on the record, based on the fit, based on the vibe and the mojo, we may see Torian Prince work his way back in place of somebody else. I kind of don't see it. Tom made a comparison to Troy Brown Jr. a week or two ago when it comes to Torian Prince, and I think that that's exactly right. He's not fast enough. He's not big enough. He's not good enough. He's just short in everything you want him to do, right? And it's not
a lot better than Troy, though. I have to admit that I
don't think so. No, I think
there's two or three drives to the basket that Torian makes every game.
Sure, and then
that I really appreciate, and yet I'm in the same place that I've been screaming for him to be removed. Yeah. I don't happen to think that I think you're right about the bench. I don't think he wants to put Rui in there.
No,
frankly, the move that makes the most sense to me is Jackson Hayes starting.
Jackson
Hayes is the guy who should start.
Alan,
he is the Bill McGee of this team.
Okay,
Alan, the guy who can just start and play 7 minutes in the first half, 7 minutes in the second half. He'll hold down the fort for those minutes,
sure.
and he'll give us a big lineup, because what is killing us is starting every game with Torian Prince and getting killed on the boards, killed in the points in the paint. It's every game we're starting off behind. That lineup, that starting lineup, even in the last 5 games, has a negative points plus minus. Is that hard to believe? We won 4 of the 5 games. That starting lineup with Torian Prince has a negative plus minus for the 5 games that we've done the best.
Yeah, it's just time to go ahead and make a change, in my opinion.
Put Hayes in there. Go big.
Sean, Alan, you dream big, my friend, but there's no way the Bulls would take seriously. If you were sitting in the Bulls general manager's office and Rob Pelinka called you and asked and told you, hey, I got a great deal for you, man. Great deal. Listen to this deal, man. It's a good one. You got to jump on this, baby. Prince and Christie for Caruso, man. We might even throw a pick. How about that, man? How about that?
After it could be heard all the way to Catalina.
Yeah, exactly. So I will tell you this, Magic Man, when it comes to the Lakers, your thoughts on Prince? It looks like I was hoping that he was going to be able to really find his way with the Lakers, but unfortunately, after some promising signs in the preseason, it's not worked out.
It has not worked out, Gerald. He's played, I would say, over 35, talking 40% of his minutes, maybe at the shooting guard position. Um, Defensively, he's his age. He's lost his step. It's not good a lot of the times. Um, he has trouble playing defense without fouling as well, Gerald, as you could see. Some of our guys see one of the big fundamentals is that you get really low and you tuck your arms in and you're square to your defender. A lot of times the Lakers find themselves tiptoeing and getting in their dance shoes, Gerald, and guards just get around that stuff. Prince has a tendency to reach, and he gets called a lot for reaching. So it really hasn't worked. Despite what others may have said, Vando being out of the lineup and having other injuries kind of platoon different rotations and lineups is not rationalization or an excuse for not being able to defend at a top shelf level when you're a Los Angeles Laker.
You know what? Actually, I think I've got the best trade of the year for you guys. Kurt Affair, got to give him props. He said trade Jay Moore and Snoop's leftover stash because he recently said would stop
Well,
smoking
Gerald,
weed
I,
for
I
Caruso and DeRozan. I think that's a steal right there.
speaking of which, I've posted two interesting stats that I think all Laker fans should pay attention to from cleaning the glass. Last year, Gerald, Austin Reaves was in the 100th percentile. I'll repeat that. The 100th percentile in being able to draw fouls. 20% of his shot attempts were off of fouls, Gerald. That's high. That's really high. Only AD was in that in that level, and he was at 83%. LeBron was just hovering at over 50. So we really needed that from Reeves. Gerald, that's plummeted. He's only averaging 10% now.
Yeah.
Which is huge. That is huge. And that's one of the reasons why he's gone to the bench is that there's been a change either with him, the way he plays, and or a combination of the way he's defended that has caused this issue. And the Lakers really need to look into it, man, because he was so effective inside the elbow to the rim, getting opportunities, but that hasn't happened.
I think guys are sagging off him a little bit, Magic Man. I think they're daring him to drive. He's not driving with the same level of intensity or speed that he was able to. I think that, we've all talked about the FIBA experience. He actually he drew fouls in FIBA as well, and that's a tougher, rougher league. But I think a couple of things. One, I think that there was such a hue and cry last season for the volume, the free throw disparity the Lakers generated. There was, right? And whether
No, there was.
He
whether
became the villain.
deserved or not, right? Whether it was deserved or not, whether those were fair fouls or not, doesn't matter. The league doesn't want the perception that they are gifting the Lakers games at the foul line. It's just that's why the Lakers had to go in and say LeBron is getting smacked in the face, okay, and you're not blowing the whistle. And you've watched LeBron's free throw attempts go up since then. They might have to do something similar in a week or two with Reeves. You can't pull a Mark Cuban. You can't do it every week. You can't be, and Jeannie's not like that. She's not a whiner. She's not a whiner like Mark Cuban is, who's just a class A, 100% beef whiner. But at some point, you're going to have to do something to address it. Because if you watch the games, and we think we all do at some point, maybe not Joe, but the rest of us do, at some point you can notice he's getting hit in the head. He's getting hit on the side. He's getting bumped off his shots. And there's no whistle being blown. And so at what point does that become a topic worthy of raising with the league and being like, look, you know, you don't need to send this guy a line 10 times, but 3 or 4 times a game is fair, right? Like, there's a lot of, I think there's a little bit of early season, we're not going to send the Lakers to the stripe vibe going on. And it's affected us. It's definitely affected us because we are a team that dominates in the paint. We are a team that penetrates and hits the rim more than a lot of other teams. We're not a jump shooting team, and we shouldn't be. It's one of the reasons Taurean Prince isn't a great fit right now. He's a jump shooter who has no role. He doesn't have anywhere to go. He doesn't have any plays run for him. He doesn't have there's no set that gets Taurean Prince's shot in the playbook. I can guarantee you that. It's a problem in that, and this is something we've talked about before too. Lakers bring these guys in and just expect them to shoot great without enabling their greatest level of success.
By the way, here's an interesting league stat, Gerald. Of the 43 players in the NBA right now who have shot over 75 3-point attempts, do you know who happens to be the percentage leader? Malik Beasley, former Laker of the Milwaukee Bucks. So that's 2 years in a row now. A former Laker has led the league at this point in time in 3-point percentage. A year ago, it was Kid Tavius Caldwell Pope. Now it's Malik Beasley.
It's never the players. I've for years now said it's that we bring guys in and say, all right, stand around and wait for us to throw you the ball. And that's not how they found success in the past. It's just not how they found success in the past. They either have the ball in their hands and create their own 3-point shot off of step backs or screens, or it's like Steph Curry, where you run a series of plays to get them open for their shot. We don't do either one. We just say, wait for your roll, wait for your shot, buddy, and you better make it. That's not enabling a guy. It's just
and this isn't jazz either, Gerald. It's and when you say that word, it's almost as if Miles Davis had great instrumentalists and musicians beside him. Yeah, he had to because you had to keep up with them. And why this attitude about guys not having it with LeBron on the bench really baffles me. It's we should be running sets and running design plays because the man is not out there. And so if he's not out there, he has very little to no control over what actions we're running. It seems like there's this disconnect. I don't get it. I understand if you're losing the point differential when he's not on the bench, that maybe the playoffs was an outlier for that, but this badly, and he's 30. We could say he's 39. I'm gonna be 39 a couple weeks before him. I'm 39, Gerald. He's 39.
God, I hate you because you still look great for 39. By then, I was already going gray. I hate you, Sean. I'm kidding, of course. But my red hair was already done. I was already losing my red hair. It was already going gray. Yes, it was already going downhill for me. You still look great, Sean, for going on 39.
Thanks a lot, Gerald.
But can I still say I hate you?
Can we trade?
I just realized that's exactly half my age.
Gerald, can we trade pancreas? You can have the type 1 diabetes and the nice hair, and I'll take your
all right, yeah, you can keep it. You can keep, okay. You can have my high cholesterol. How about that? We'll trade that for you instead.
No.
and lack of sleep complex.
Hey,
yes,
Gerald has a nice mane. It may not be red anymore, Gerald, but it is.
I miss my brownish red hair.
It is a nice mane.
Yes, I walk by it on old pictures and just go, whatever. Once again, it is the Lakers.
Back in the day, ladies and gentlemen, Gerald was hanging around with like Val Kilmer and
I was called Val Kilmer all the
real
time.
Rob Lowe, not Rob Pelinka in disguise. The real Rob Lowe.
Well, whatever. I was called Val Kilmer a lot. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Guys, we're going to go ahead and finish out the episode here by asking what the Lakers need to do in this next week of games to really get things going before Thanksgiving on the right track. I had said before repeatedly, and Magic Man's heard me on this show before in the past couple of days saying that 9-6, that's got to happen. These next 2 games, are very winnable games. Yes, I know one of them's the beloved in-game tournament, in-season tournament, NBA Cup, whatever the hell it is. All right. Okay, that's great. That could earn them a quarterfinal position and secure it completely against Utah. That's great. But the fact is, they're playing two lousy teams, guys. Get themselves 9-6. Get them a little bit of confidence, a little bit of rhythm heading into some bigger matchups because they've got a lot of road games coming up in the next month. A lot of road games coming up in the next month. I want to stress that. A lot of road games coming up.
Yeah,
So
isn't that really weird? Like, why does this always seem to happen? They get like some weird, like 6 week
It's the awards.
period. Yeah,
Arena
it's like the
scheduling.
Grammy Awards,
Yeah.
and now this. It's like it's really weird. We
Downtown
did
LA
some,
shuts down for about a month in December.
they
Yeah.
did some weird thing where we were traveling through the southeast last year, and then all of a sudden we had to dip around, Gerald, and go right to the northeast.
again, it's with Los Angeles, it's all seems to be centralized on the crypt right now. As more venues come up, like the Clippers Dome and all that, maybe more venues, more events will go that way to the nicer, shinier thing that will allow the Lakers to go ahead and have the crypt more to themselves. But we'll see. Again, I still tell you one day, and I still believe one day that the Lakers Jeannie will probably try to just subtly ask, for a new arena at some point in time. I'm just going to tell you, it's because she sees all of her owner friends or fellow owners out there. They're getting all their own nice, shiny new arenas. At some point in time, she's going to get the itch to ask for one. I'm just going to tell you that right now. It's a done deal, I think, at some point in time. But it is the Lakers Fast Break. Tom, what are your thoughts on the next week? What do the Lakers need to do to get on the right track going forward? Because again, a lot of road games are on the horizon for the Lakers.
I think they have to win. They have 7 games left this month in November. They've got to win 5 of those games, finish 12-8. That'll be 60%, and that'll get them in the top 6.
You know what, Alan? I like that because if you move LeBron the point, LeBron has been shooting well from behind the arc this season. He's been terrible at the free throw line.
And shooting fewer threes too, which is good.
Yeah.
A lot of things don't make sense. The Lakers are last in offensive possessions in the NBA, yet they're 5th in field goal percentage. So aside from the god-awful 3-point shooting and everybody else crap in the bed in the half court, Gerald, we should really be thankful for Anthony Davis at being 6-6. If we had a lesser player, we might be 4-8 or 3-9.
Jamie, what are your thoughts, my friend, on what the Lakers need to do? I mean, obviously the next 2 games are must-win games. They're not trap games per se because they don't come on at, the Lakers already know what they're going against in Houston and Utah. The situation for the Lakers changes though as soon as they start going on the road because I just looked at the schedule here just while you guys were talking earlier. There again, as I state again, I want to stress there's a ton of road games for what so far has been a bad road team this season.
Yeah, I think that they need to establish themselves on the road in December, but they need to take care of business at home. That's what they got to fatten up on the teams they can fatten up on. They did a good job of that against Portland the other night. Play-in tournament or whatever aside, they did what they had to do against Portland. The only thing that kind of sucked about it, well, the reason I kind of disagree with Darvin Ham's reasoning about the point differential and leaving the starters in so late into the 4th. But whatever. I mean, I would assume that was done with everybody's blessing on the bench. So whatever. We got to step it up defensively. That's the main thing. This team is not going to score pretty. We're not a pretty team. We're not going to win pretty. So that means you got to ramp it up on defense. You got to get the most you can out of guys like Prince and Reeves and D'Lo. And, we've seen Hayes and Wood rebound in spurts. They need to rebound better across the board. And AD can't have any more 9-point. I played like Dookie games. Like, just can't afford it. This team can't afford that. And so it's those moments when you hear him say stuff like that, you just got to realize that there's a reason that LeBron hasn't done what everybody was urging him to do this summer, which was take a back seat, cede some responsibility for that. It's just not going to happen. He's not wired that way, but there's no There's no winning basketball
Yeah.
in that formula for the Lakers. There's just not. There's just it won't
Sure
work.
there is. There's defense, which is what he anchors in his team.
You won't.
Anybody who thinks that we can win without his defense is crazy.
No, but I'm talking about being the focal point of the offense.
He's not going to be the focal point of the offense because he's a center.
But he was talking about the beginning of the series all summer long. Oh, AD is going to finally ascend and take the torch and all these wonderful hyperbolic things.
Yeah, well, and also then LeBron also found out that, oh, hey, I just had a drink out of the fountain of youth, and I feel better than I've ever felt, and I'm going to go out there and play my game.
It will not happen. It will never, ever, never, never, ever happen. So,
yeah, but I don't think that's AD's fault to a certain extent because I think that
no, it's everybody else's fault.
I don't know who could take the baton from LeBron James at this point in time, man.
The same person from Kobe Bryant.
You can't tell me he's not a top 10 player right now at the league.
No,
Can anybody out here say that he's not a top 10 NBA player right now? Nobody on this panel will say that.
I don't think I'd say I think he's right there. He's right, and he's right in the top 10.
He could win the MVP if he keeps playing this way this year. He'll reach a point where
LeBron is playing like a top 10 player.
In his way.
Yeah, but not with our record, and that's the problem. Is that like you're not going to see him
4-1 over the last 5 games is 80%.
Yeah, but that's not the record.
Nope.
There's a guy in Denver that could probably disagree with you on that. It's called.
Nearly had a 20-20-20 game yesterday.
He's playing
My God.
he's playing video games.
Right.
That's what continuity and having a team together for a long time will do.
Plus, in Philadelphia, I told Magic Man I would actually give Maxey the MVP vote over Embiid right now, personally. But that's just me.
Great.
And Halliburton's been playing incredible for Indiana. So
I wish LeBron would get the calls that Embiid gets. My God, Jesus Christ.
But heading into, like you said, Laker Tom, the rest of November and December, Jamie and Laker Tom and Sean, not counting, Sean. Wait, I want to say this: not counting what they're going to do last minute as far as the scheduling based on the NBA Cup. Because that period of 10 days between the 2nd and the 12th of December is yet to be determined.
They'll get a tougher game than they would have if they weren't in the NBA Cup.
Well, but the Lakers, as of now, not looking at that, after the home and home game, back-to-back home and home, how well it worked for us last week, back-to-back home and home games against Utah and Dallas. After that, if you do not count the NBA Cup period, they have 10 of the next 12 games on the road, Sean. That's going to be a tall order, and that's going to lead to a tough December. But your thoughts, my friend. We're going to go ahead and run it around. Your thoughts first, Sean, before we head on out.
Yeah, Gerald, over this next 10-game stretch, I hope they go, around 7-3. That would be positive. They could be, it's around 13-10, 14-9, or somewhere in that range. You're kind of eking your way up, because I remember you were giving me kind of a hard time about putting the Lakers like in the middle of the pack as far as the top 6 is concerned, and I think you'd take that right now, Gerald.
I would, absolutely. The season has gone very differently than what I had imagined.
Gerald, I also wanted to say, although I didn't attend the game, had a few friends who did, and they said they're also concerned that because of the way these in-season courts are very slick, and we've noticed that somebody's going to really hurt. Somebody's going to really hurt themselves.
What did I say? If there's a championship game and LeBron
there's concern right now that if the Celtics did an MRI on Jaylen Brown's groin, it wouldn't be good. So he is lambasting.
Trying to avoid the MRI machine.
Yeah,
Stay away.
No thanks. He is lambasting the NBA for these courts, Gerald. And as we've noted, it's not just noticeable to us. Other players have noticed how slick and slippery it is. And for God's sakes, the Dallas Mavericks aren't even allowed to use their court because it was graded unplayable.
Because the NBA rushed this together. That's why.
Yes, exactly, Gerald. And you were. I want to give credit where credit is due, and we usually call things before they happen. We're not right all the time, but as Joe said, we're right a lot. Gerald was right about this. He said that if you're gonna bum rush this out, watch somebody's gonna get hurt, and then that'll be the end of the any second season of the in-season tournament.
Jamie, any last thoughts before we head on out, my friend?
I mean, the in-season tournament's a gimmick, and I'm sure it's going to be wonderful for the team that wins it. But that's, whatever. I don't understand the desire.
Oh, Jamie, if it looks as though we might be on a collision course to play the Celtics in that thing, for God's sakes.
I don't know. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be so great for me. NBA Twitter is going to be loving it. They're gonna, but I don't really care about it. I want us to win the tournament at the end of the season. That's the one that matters the most. This one is just, it's just to make it matter, and everybody's buying into it, and you can tell that the players are playing hard in the games, and that's cool.
It's become a way to get your teammates $500,000 for the guys at the end of the bench.
Cam Reddish is going to double his salary. Awesome. Yeah. Whee! I just want to see the Lakers get through this part of the season as healthy as possible. The Jaylen Brown point is an excellent point. The Celtics are going to rue being in a position to win that cup if Jaylen Brown really can't play like himself for the rest of the season because he's got a torn up groin. So, these are the things that must be weighed and balanced. And so for me, I'd rather see the Lakers, focus on winning the winnable games, focus on getting guys right, getting guys putting guys in the best position to succeed, and figuring out some of these lingering questions, that the coaching staff can't seem to allow themselves to wrap their head around the answer. And I think that we've been banding the answers back and forth here pretty well. It's just and this was a hallmark of Ham last season, they're just slow on the uptick on certain key things. As quick as they were to put Russ to the bench, he never went away from the 3-guard lineups, ever. He never went away from him. And so it was this level of stubbornness where you're just you have to at some point agree with empirical evidence. You can't just keep peddling hope. You can't do it. It's not sustainable. You're not going to win. So if you're not winning with certain formulas and empirical evidence is pointing in a direction, you need to listen. And I get it. You want to balance out your second unit. Makes total sense. There are other ways to do that. So for me, it'll be interesting to see what the Jared Vanderbilt ramp up looks like when he makes his debut and stuff like that, and how that all looks. Because the problem with that is, sure, they're going to get him up to game speed, yada yada yada. He still hasn't played meaningful basketball in 2 months, plus months. He's going to have.
I think your point, though, that you made, Jamie, is really an important one that you said earlier. Everybody was saying that Reddish might be the placeholder for Vando. No, I think Jamie's more on spot that Prince is the placeholder for Vando.
We hope I'm more on spot. We hope I can't.
I want to see. I would like to see Reddish stay in the lineup. I don't think you don't turn around when your kid is playing that well. He's got to play himself out of the lineup, as far as I'm concerned. If I were a coach, that's the way I would look at it. But I definitely think that if the coach is thinking that Vando is going to be the guy to come in there to take over the small forward position, which is where Prince is playing now, then basically it could make sense not to make a second change in between, but just to play it out, then move Vando in to replace Prince as soon as he's ready, rather than just bringing in. For example, he wants to get positions, so I think why bring Rui in if Rui is going to be on the bench regularly? So there's a little bit of logic to it, and I thought that I want to give Darwin some leeway because I thought he made a great decision with respect to Reeves and Reddish. I expect he's going to make a similarly good decision with respect to what to do with Prince, and so I'm going to remain patient with him to make that decision because I think he's earned it.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Lakers Spotlight, the Lakerholics Spotlight right here, of course, as far as the Lakers Fast Break. And go ahead, check out Lakerholics.com. You'll get the latest Great articles right there, free from the #1 Lakers blogger that's out there, Laker Tom, and of course Jamie Sweet as well. Guys, it's been great having you on. You do have a request by Cool Bro to play "Living on a Prayer" before we head on out, Jamie
Well,
Sweet. But go ahead, my friend.
I'm going to say something to Cool Bro. Cool Bro, you will enjoy Dostoevsky. Give Crime and Punishment a shot as soon as possible. Great book.
All right, but great to have you guys here. Great to have Sean here. I know he had to bug on out, looks like, so wanted to go ahead and thank him for stopping by. Always great to have him here. And of course, Laker Tom, of course, please check out his latest articles and his latest trade scenarios there or at Laker Tom on Twitter. Actually, Kurt also says, can Jamie play gin and juice as well? The requests keep on coming.
You know, send them to Gerald before the show is happening, and I'll see. Sean had a request for me to play something today, but then he had to zippity-doo-dah, so we'll see.
Yes. But great to have you here. Great to have everyone else out there. Best Lakers chat room that's out there. I love all the different starting lineup scenarios that you put out there, especially Alan, both Allens, Adam. You know, just great having here. Li5, great to have Lakers in 5 here as well. Kurt, bringing the humor as always. Darren, great to have you here every single time out. I thank you so much for buying getting the LFB shirt. I'm glad you see it said it fits you great. So I'm glad to see that. And if you want some LFB merchandise, go ahead and check it out in the description below. The link is right there. Go ahead. It's a great holiday gift for someone you love out there or for yourself. Treat yourself to a great holiday gift in Lakers Fast Break merchandise indeed. So for Laker Tom, Magic Man, Sean Grice, and Jamie Sweet, it's Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. We'll see you tomorrow. A full day of coverage, including the pregame, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break for the game, and the postgame. The best that's out there for Lakers coverage right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Happy Lakers weekend, everyone. Stay safe.